professionalinvestor.com's daily brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Frivolity. A couple minutes past the top of the hour here, 9 o'clock on the West Coast. Although I suppose anybody looking at Canada these days, it's the fire coast. Lots of fires burning all over the place. Actually, I was even with Liam yesterday driving around, and there's even a local fire. You can see the clouds off in the distance over on the other side of the mountains. So, I suppose quite dramatic times we're living in. This is Friday, as you can see, 18th of August, 2023, TGIF, and all that. Suppose probably those crypto fans, probably the sooner we get Wall Street out of the picture and back to us playing our fun games on our own, the better. Ironically enough, if you are a subscriber, I suppose because it's after the effect and the market's come off quite a bit, so I don't think it's that big of a deal to show you guys now anymore. When the signals fire real time and we're pretty close, I can understand the team would rather I not show you this stuff and leave it for paying subscribers to get the information. But as we all know, of course, Bitcoin really puked out there yesterday. And our signaling system actually fired off a sell signal there on the 16th. And even the broader crypto market broke down. And if anything, this is a really good analogy of when the S&P 500 breadth is pointing one direction or the other. And, let's say in this case, broader market's pointing down. Bitcoin's working its way up. Usually, and the crypto market is pointing up. Usually, the market's relatively sort of sideways in this kind of environment. Then, as soon as that breadth rolls over, look out. Everything's all pointing the same direction. Kaboom. So, really, really good example there. Unfortunately for me, and the sad thing is I did the Coinigy shows on Wednesday, and I think we had the market tapped. Like when I actually did the show Wednesday, I sat, basically it was about 2 or 3 hour show, and the feedback from doing this show was very good, so I thought I did a really good job. And the message of the show was, I think this one image just absolutely typifies it, that when the market is telling you we have confirmed bearish divergences, probably the best thing for you to do if you're a bull is cool your jets. And of course, we all know what happened yesterday. So this is the weekly chart. Baboosh. And interestingly enough, I get the impression we're probably going to finish this week here. Maybe if we're lucky through the weekend, we get a nice dead cat bounce. But you can see on the weekly chart, MACD is actually breaking to new lows. And we talked about this in the Coinigy show on Wednesday, that if we do break to new lows, which we've done now, this is after the fact, that's just further sort of, if you're a bull, you better just cool your jets. And it's kind of sad that this all had to happen. Well, you go on social media and everybody's calling moon. They're all going to get rich. 23 is the year that Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million, blah, 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 blah. So a bit of a tough slog. I guess the thing that bothers me most right now is the system that we built and that people have actually subscribed to. It worked absolutely perfectly. I got to be proud of the system. In fact, it was just so absolutely perfect. The only problem is that Brian did the Coinigy show, and that's after a really long day. Signal comes in at 9:30 my time, and I was passed out on the couch. So the signal comes in, everything says go, and I had literally a 2 to 3 hour window to act. I had plenty of time to act. And I didn't actually wake back up until over here. And it's like, uh-oh. And Julian was even kind of like, yeah, when I get these signals, I just hit the market, just hit the bid and get the fuck out. But I was like, no, I'll just work the order at the level. That's the level the signal came in. And you can see what the end result is. Kaboom. So and I suppose even now we can adjust it to current price. This is versus Tether on Kraken. I don't know whether you believe in that or not, but anyway, this is the product that we're trading, this little sort of model of manually trading these signals. 9% movement since that signal. Kaboom. So, and this is the whole point of this breadth message, is that it's supposed to have you positioned correctly. Because usually what ends up happening is, if the market is pointing up, great. Then you can have these big explosive moves, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 moves, whatever. And that's the meat and potatoes that you want to grab. Conversely, when the breadth of the market rolls over, that's usually when these big honking moves come in. So this little demo portfolio that I'm running, trying to manually trade this, obviously I'm caught right now. And, if anything, there's some really, really great lessons to be learned from this. And it's great to see a lot of the site members were like, well, Brian, I was wide awake and I took the signal when it came in and I'm on cloud nine. Look at me. Woo! In fact, Eddie, our badass altcoin trader, he's like giddy right now. Eddie, you got a microphone, right? You want to say hi to these good people? Are you giddy? I saw him in the lounge. There he is.
Hey, hey.
Hey. Eddie's a great. I'm sorry. Just, anyway, when I make reference to Eddie, at least now you know who he is. But he's always like, yeah, just go with the breadth, right? Whatever the breadth tells you, just go with that. And I gotta say, I mean, this was absolutely spot on. It's just Brian as a dumb human fat fingered the trade. So now I'm in a little bit of I'm caught here. So actually, in very typical sort of fashion, I could do what the public does and just panic dump, but we're not supposed to be public participants. We're supposed to act like institutions. So what that means is I have to wait for this darn market to bottom, for it to do counter trend rallies, to do things like reload zones. And the interesting thing is you can pretty much see exactly where the top of the market is here. I don't even know if we even have a bottom in the market yet. But interestingly enough, if we just do reload zones here, you can see that we're probably going to rally back up into this area. And then, of course, if it is a short, then we'll start seeing sell signals come in reload zones. So right now, I just have to work my order and just be patient and disciplined and not get sucked into the emotion of the market here. So that's kind of how my day's going. If you do hear it in my voice, I am a little bit verklempt. Talk amongst yourselves as I deal with the fact that I'm not as good of a robot as I thought I was. Anyway, that's the way it goes. If anything, this is probably I've said it before. Algo trading is not easy. You have to basically be on 24/7. And robots, of course, they don't take breaks. They don't care. When the signal comes in, they take the trade. So anyway, and congratulations to everybody who on the site actually did take the signals and the trade and stuff. Actually, it was very accurate, and it's a huge move that you could have captured off of that signal. So I mean, it's working. It's just unfortunately Brian's a little bit of a knucklehead here. Anyway, all we can do is try our best, and hopefully, people sort of have an understanding of where I'm standing right now. And I'm a little bit underwater on this trade. Good part about it, of course, spread the jelly out. Don't put all your money into one basket kind of idea. It's not a huge amount of net worth, but still, I don't like to be in a position that's underwater by like 5-10%. That's not comfortable for me. But anyway. All right. So, what's today? Interestingly enough, trying to get back to sort of best practices, as you can see in my journaling and logging. I'm pretty stressed psychologically about this flub, and it's just purely, like I said, it's just purely that I just made a mistake as a human, um, and it's tough doing these videos with you guys and having to be an open book and knowing that I'm going to have to come on here and tell you guys I'm a stupid idiot. Way to go, Brian. All I can do is try my best, right? That's all you can do. So, generally speaking, sort of market commentary, just understand the backdrop of what my day is like. If you kind of hear the tone of my voice is a little bit sanguine, you'll understand why now. Friday, interestingly enough, this is a options expiry. This is a big monthly options expiry day. And the rule generally, how ironic with what Bitcoin did overnight, the rule generally is that they move the market on the Thursday, and then Friday is actually a pretty quiet day. So I think we did see some pretty wild fireworks out of the market yesterday. And then, to add insult to injury, kind of an interesting backdrop. Mysteriously, there just isn't a heck of a lot of news out here today, econ wise, that is. So, if we actually looked at the econs yesterday, we had British retail sales. Of course, Britain's going through its problems right now. And here's the big news releases for Friday, August 18th. There's nothing. So, had another data print come out of China overnight. And of course, China is an absolute train wreck right now. So, if I understand correctly, the big sort of, company related news was that I think one of their big real estate companies finally sort of admitted publicly that they were in the center of the bubble and the bubble has officially burst and they're going under. And in fact, the headlines here that I've noticed today, and if anything, I've been predicting this all along. So it doesn't surprise me one bit. But I think that I saw one news headline here this morning that actually I thought was absolutely perfect description of this. However, that might have changed by now. And that was people believe that these big bankruptcies in China are basically China's Lehman moment. I think that's probably a great way to describe this. So, and I even said this a few days ago that I was a broker and I ran a book of business through 2006, 2007, 2008. 2006, the running joke around the office was it's not so much of do you own your own home, but when we used to sit down with the clients, and as a financial advisor, obviously, we're dealing with people with kind of more net worth than Joe Sixpack. So it wasn't really a question of do you own your own home, it's how many homes do you own? And it literally was like, well, I've got the primary house, I've got the cottage, I've got this rental property, I've got this vacation house, blah 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 blah. And of course, as long as you're employed and making the payments, mortgages, no big deal. And of course, if renters are still renting, then that covers that. So, and then as we work through 2007, the stock market actually did officially top out. And actually, that's something I wouldn't mind just checking out with you guys. while we're here, do we actually have a sell signal in the stock market? For whatever it's worth, Allen continues to work his way lower. So, things like this, I think, are still working shorts. But, from an investment perspective, um, I like to use a really, really simple model to help me just see whether the market is bullish or bearish, and that's the 13 EMA versus 30 SMA relationship. So you can see it turned down here back in February of last year. Then it turned back up in the spring. And the winter. Remember, we got all those big bullish key reversals on the NASDAQ and Amazon and all that, which started this rally. So we're not actually in a bear right now, which is interesting because, of course, if you listen to the media, you listen to a lot of talking heads. I mean, they're basically saying the sky's about to fall. But actually, I don't have any sell signal here. If anything, my interpretation of this is that this was a market, and we might even draw this off of here. This is just a market that went way too far, way too fast. And it's just, by definition, we should at any point expect 38.2 retracements. That's good old Ray Burchett. Students, we teach that as the first stop target. And at any given point in time, you should expect that level to be tested. Then, of course, Colin and the pump chasers. He loves this 38.2 to 50% window as kind of like, well, I do like the fact that this thing's making higher highs and higher lows and the moving averages are turning up, but I don't want to chase. So I'm just going to patiently wait for a pullback into support and actually see if I can sneak my way in on some sort of pullback. You can see there's a nice juicy gap right there at what is that, 420 on the ES. Interesting, 420. It's also a nice little gap down there at 395. I do like the idea that the market does need to this fall come in and clean up this chart and fill in the gaps. Probably even come back to we might even do things like, I don't know whether this trend line's relevant. Actually, interesting. That's now actually going to be resistance. I would say probably that is the prevailing trend line now. And here's kind of a fun little thing. If you're watching on YouTube and you want to sort of add a new tool to your toolkit, notice, and I've seen this happen plenty of time over my years in the market, notice how I drove this trend line here. But what this trend line really is, believe it or not, is it's actually going back off of that low. So really the trend line here is, think of this as an inverted head and shoulders, where we're going to draw the trend line from shoulder to shoulder. And quite often, the head will actually dip on the other side of it. But notice that over time, and especially off of that big reversal low there, that's basically validation of the same level. So anyway, if I was going to draw an uptrend line of this stock market, this one trend line's been lost. And I suppose you could probably also argue that really fast lines like that guy here, he's been lost. So where is key support now? I think it's in there. Notice 200 SMAs coming screaming up here. My hunch is key support somewhere down in this area here. And the interesting thing about that, of course, is that if we go just some simple price analysis and we draw down into those levels, I mean, I don't think we get market is officially in correction, and recession kind of talk. I don't actually think we're going to get that. I think we're going to get a hell of a battle here. And then you've even heard the Fed say things like, well, we don't really expect things to roll over until 2024. So I wouldn't be surprised if you get something along these lines. And people are expecting a counter trend rally into the end of the year. So actually, maybe this should be a little bit faster. Something like that. And then it will be through 2024 if there is going to be a market top that comes in, that I think it comes in. But the issue there is that it's a U.S. election year. There's no way in hell they're going to crash the market in a U.S. election year. So I don't really see crash scenarios here. What I see is a market that really moved up quite a bit off of its lows, and now it's just in the process of cleaning itself up. But, at the same time, cleaning itself up, if we just do, say midpoint of Collins zone here, that's going to translate into a 10% correction in prices from the recent rally peak into that October, November trough. So, yeah. All right. Hopefully that gives you a pretty good sort of description of what it is that I'm sort of seeing in the market here right now. And I have to say, another reason why I think that we're probably getting close to some sort of significant, interestingly enough, actually a significant buying window. I mean, I don't know where the bottom here comes in. It's interesting that we're flirting with 13 EMA and 30 SMAs down here just above Collins zone. Of course, that would be a Wyckoff check right there. So it would make perfect sense that the market would actually just come into this level here and look for some sort of pivot. I mean, maybe it's just something like that. I don't know. But I guess another sort of piece of anecdotal evidence here that I think that, we're actually, even though this could still fall a bit more, I think we're actually closer to some sort of major pivot low than a top. Why do I say that? Again, going back to the dashboard. I got to say, this dashboard, this thing is solid. We've built the machine. The machine works. I mean, you got to take the signals when they come in. And of course, just us generally talking to you about, well, the breadth is rolled over there, the middle of July, so we probably should play things conservative. And unfortunately, we really won't get a buy until this thing is washed out. You can see we're finally now getting below 20 here on the breadth indicator. So that's good. That's one sign that maybe we're getting slightly washed out and oversold. But if we scroll down to the histogram, and this is the way that you should use the histogram, this is like bullish percentage of all of the universe. And we do a short-term study off the 13 EMA and a medium-term study off that 30 SMA. And really, when we get a situation where everything is dramatically oversold on both the short and medium term, that actually signifies a major cyclical bottom. So it is interesting that the country funds, and of course, China's getting its head handed to it right now. Maybe you get some massive puke out there with all the bankruptcies of all those real estate plays. But once we're in a situation like this, market's already gone down. It's almost kind of like, do you really want to come to the party and short now? And it's the same thing with crypto now, which is interesting, right? Because crypto really puked out there yesterday hard. Now you can see in the short term, crypto is actually oversold. Medium term, still a little bit further to go. So believe it or not, we could still see maybe another month or two of weakness out of crypto. And same thing with the US stock market. The US stock market isn't technically oversold on the short term yet, and we're not even remotely oversold on the medium term yet. So when these things all paint majorly oversold on both the short and medium term, and specifically when you see the country funds and the S&P 500 both majorly oversold, then the stock market's just about done, and actually going short at that point is a really bad idea. And if anything, you should be hunting for longs. So, as the breadth indicator works its way down, I mean, you can clearly see the moving averages. The interesting thing with this is that the moving averages never went like extreme direction one way or the other. We used to, at some point down in the past, be able to actually scroll through this over time. And every once in a while, you'll actually get a reading from the breadth indicator, like this here, for example, where you just get these massively wide situations where you really should expect some sort of dead cat bounce, counter trend rally, whatever you want to call it. So right now, in a weird sort of way, actually, this correction has actually been very orderly. which is scary because usually the very end of these things, you get some sort of wild capitulation event. And you might see that happen, over the next month or two. The September is historically the worst performing month in the stock market. So, don't look for September as some great savior. And of course, all the pros are going to come back from the Hamptons and the vacation spots after Labor Day weekend, and they're going to be like, "Wow, what the hell did you do to the market? Get me out of here! Sell, 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 sell." So you put it all together, and I like the idea that the market's probably going to make some major cyclical pivot bottom. And remember, 2024 is an election year. It's not likely that they're going to break the market in 2024. Also, too, what I thought was super cool, and of course, this team of people that are working away in the background at TRI, they're just, they're absolutely incredible people. I wish I could be half as good as these people. Josh here, I've talked to you at length about Josh. He's the guy who writes the blog, and actually he's doing a lot of sort of the new site development work. He's, of course, been following the January Barometer very closely. And I got to say, about a week or so ago, we had an absolute, like, actually, a lot of people on the site were all like, holy crap, did you see that January Barometer? Look what it's saying is going to happen here. So, ironically enough, it's just done what's supposed to happen. In fact, I think Eddie also too. You were commenting about January barometers recently, weren't you? I think he was. Anyway, so the people on the site and the TRI principles and all of the tools that we're building, they're all working. So just I guess what I'm just trying to say here is, actually, that's not the screen I wanted to minimize. I don't think anybody who actually sort of kind of knows what the hell they're doing in the market, I don't think anybody's really surprised at what's going on here. I suppose I'll finish, and as I had sort of said, I mean, if you follow me on social media and stuff, I've been barking at ad nauseum about Alan and crappy him going and distracting the public by talking about wanting to get into fist fights with other social media people. And Alan's just getting his lunch handed to him right now. Of course, he's not talking about the stock at all. Heaven forbid we actually talk about stuff like that. And then I got to tell you, man, I mean, that guy is very, very good at sort of shiny object. Pay attention over here. Look at this shiny object over here. No, don't pay attention to that. That's not what you're supposed to be paying attention to. Outside downside key reversals that are huge sell signals. Don't pay attention to that. No, no, no. Pay attention to this, right? And what's actually really weird is, and I don't know whether TradingView has gone into cahoots with Alan here, and it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, seems half of the world's in love with the guy. But Chris was even pointing out the other day, I noticed on my screen that funny little icons were popping up, like when I would press Tesla. Actually, is this TradingView doing this, or is Alan actually like hacking into TradingView? I have no idea, but I thought that's kind of like borderline. That's a little bit suspicious. What the heck's going on there? Anyway, again, very, very good at distracting people, right? They're not going to be talking about the fact that his stock was a wicked short there, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, and it's just tanking. And actually, our level 4 instructor, Zach, is a spread trading guru now. We were talking about this bear put spread just in a recent secret options formula club meeting. Actually, be interesting to review how that spread ultimately played out this coming Tuesday. But anyway, the point being that anybody who actually kind of knows what they're doing in the marketplace, seeing the market selling off the way that it is, whether it be the breadth telling you to be cautious, or whether it be big honking key reversal sell signals. Hell, I mean, we have a big honking key reversal sell signal working in the S&P 500. I mean, this is just massive. I think this was a daily one on here. There, right there. And I mean, look at that. So this is what our signaling system is supposed to be trying to, tell members and subscribers. And what do you think? Would that have been a pretty good short trade idea? I mean, look at the damn market's fucking just tanking. So, and there's Colin and his buddies down here. There's 200 period moving average. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is our ultimate destination. Am I looking for a crash? And I'm hearing guys like Michael Burry, I think that's his name, is he's saying this is a brand new big short. No, actually, this is a very different market state than that 2007 wipeout. And ironically enough, the United States of America is not the country you want to be shorting right now. You want to know what the country is that you want to be shorting? You all know. Let's say we got 20, 30 people. Maybe a couple of you could hit the like button and subscribe and all that kind of fun stuff. And maybe tell a friend about these videos. We'd love you for it. But you tell me, if there's a country in the world that's a good short right now, what do you think, Adam, Michael, Luke, Glitz, Steven? Turkey, I don't know. Actually, I gotta hand it to Turkey. Turkey is got balls. I mean, Turkey literally took those Azov commanders who were supposed to be like Nazis, right, and all that, and they just gave them back to Ukraine and just like literally thumbed their noses at Russia. You gotta hand it to Turkey. Turkey, those guys have got balls. But anyway, Canada, China, very good, Nore. Well said, well said. Yeah. So if China is collapsing, then China is, some twisted, almost like, deformed love child of this Chinese property shill nonsense. If you're going to look for a crash somewhere around the world, it's not the United States of America. I've said that to you guys repeatedly. It's this insanity. Do you know they actually have mortgages in Canada that have they literally on the client statement it says your amortization is infinity. You will never pay this mortgage off. What a trap. Can you imagine all the sort of young families that immigrated to Canada thinking this is such a great place, and now they are literally locked into financial slavery for the rest of their lives? Their statements literally say, you will never pay off this mortgage. You will never own this house. Well, that kind of sounds like Klaus. You will never own anything and you will be happy. Really? I don't know how happy these people are going to be. So if I was going to be shorting anything in the world, it's China, not the United States. In fact, ironically enough, if you actually look at the US dollar index right now, the US dollar looks like this is the place to be. I mean, what's the definition of a bull market? Higher highs and higher lows, isn't it? I mean, I think you could make the argument this thing's been in a bull. Actually, this is really only through the summer. But hell, I wouldn't be surprised if we're heading back up top here on this. Well, maybe we run into some resistance here. Who knows? Anyway, the point of the matter here is being bearish of the United States of America, I think, is actually the wrong bet. But it makes sense that the public, of course, is bearish of the United States and they're bullish of everything else because that's usually what the market does. So anyway, all right, fluffy rants here today. I think I started the conversation off with you guys here today. It is an options expiry day. So usually the rule is most of the business is done the previous day. And the actual options expiry day is actually pretty quiet. I suppose we could just take a quick boo at the stock market. There is your options expiry dump. Interesting that they dumped it right into 2.618 off of this most recent meltdown low. Channels, midpoints of channels and 13 EMA. I really didn't like the idea of going short here. And you can see ATR if I wanted to be a buyer. I'd really actually preferred to have seen the market dump all the way down here. We have a big 4.669 foggy off of this high down here. So to me, we're just kind of in no man's land. I'm not really bullish, not really bearish. If anything, I just want to leave it alone. And then, I suppose to finish this off, we'll head on over. I guess we'll do an after party show. I'm not quite sure what we're going to talk about today, though. But if we look at good old Bitcoin, I'm sure you want a commentary there. And this unfortunately is what Bitcoin loves to do. Sort of lulls everybody to sleep, lulls everybody to sleep. Oh, Bitcoin won't crap out, won't crap out. And then all of a sudden just kaboom. And the market just shits the bed. Very typical of Bitcoin. As I had said there earlier, our sell level was this small consolidation window here against these lows. And my hunch is we probably counter trend rally back up to kiss these lows and give anybody who wanted to get short the opportunity to get short off of the appropriate level, reload zones, all that kind of fun stuff. You can see where trend line resistance is here, 30 SMAs, even 200 SMA on this 4-hour chart. I don't really think it's a great idea to go short right down here. If anything, I would be thinking dead cat bounce, but being the options expiry day, I do believe that they had a plan where they wanted to take the market, and maybe an after hours or after party will go look at some of the options data. I think I have it on another screen. So just try and understand why they're taking the market out where they are right now. I can imagine a lot of crypto kids are crying in their beers right now. So not much news, more options expiry than anything else. Dog days of summer, very quiet out there, very illiquid. I think Chris made the comment that the illiquidity was chopping him up a bit today. So it doesn't surprise me. I didn't take any futures trades today. If anything, I kind of like the idea of having just maybe one or two really good trades through the middle of the week. I got off a really nice trade that I was pretty happy about there in crude back middle of the week. That was on Wednesday. And I was like on cloud nine. And then unfortunately, I missed that trade. And it was just purely that I fell asleep on the couch. And when I woke up, the price had fallen quite a bit and I had missed the trade. And that whole just one missed trade signal can just really derail you. So now, right, you can see there was the sell signal. So anyway. All right, there's your market summary report. I hope you guys got some value out of that. Actually, a cute little tutorial there about trend lines that hopefully you guys can use. And as I had said earlier, dashboard here now, of course, everything is pointing down. I wouldn't get bullish here until we actually start seeing signs of W's and breadth signal actual bullish crosses, and that might take a little while to develop here, folks. So slow and steady wins the race. Don't take no wooden nickels. Just everybody should remember, especially off of that Coinigy show. Maybe we'll show it to you. That Coinigy show, what I'm doing with Joe there, I think it's actually going to turn into a really good educational platform because Joe and I spent a lot of time dissecting this bearish confirmed weekly bearish momentum divergence on Bitcoin and how the bulls really should have just cooled their jets. I hate to say it, but I think that until this thing actually W's out, and as I said, just even the messages from this morning we're getting continuation. There is no W yet, but hell, maybe through the weekend we rally right back up top and this takes this negative message away. I doubt it, but until that happens, until we actually see this thing W out, and it might take months for this to happen. I don't think investors really need to be in a huge hurry. And I hate to say it, but that's been my message all along. In fact, I put out a message the other day just reminding everybody, where is the cost of production? And it kind of drives you crazy because I have these same conversations with you guys over and over and over. Nobody in social media seems to be picking up this message. But how do you actually value a commodity? You value a commodity based on how much it costs to pull the commodity out of the ground, or pull it out of the air, or pull it out of your butt, or whatever. In Bitcoin's terms, how much does it cost to actually mine Bitcoin? So sitting up top here, writing's on the walls, folks. So I don't think it really should surprise anybody what we're doing. The only problem is, of course, nobody listens to you when we're racing up here. Everybody and their brothers talking about moon, and now you're all going to get rich, and you better buy now, or you're going to regret it. So slow and steady wins the race. As we say, we don't call it the fall for nothing. So wait for the market to actually tell you that we're actually back in a buy mode before you actually start making some big bets on the long side. What I would just simply say now is, if you're doing things like dollar cost averaging plans, great. Wait for reload zones. This weekly chart with this image has been the same now, I think, for about 3 or 4 months. Reload zones, you can see where they are down here. My rule, of course, is we don't really want to even think about buying until we actually get down into these levels. Then we want to start seeing the indicators spitting out bullish divergences and stuff. As I just showed you on the weekly chart, we have very bearish looking images working right now. And then after that, we want to start seeing W's in price. And I think that's going to take quite a while for that to develop. All right, so there you go. Happy, happy, joy, joy. Go slowly. Now, the good part about this, and I think Eddie actually was mentioning this morning. If you are an altcoin purchaser, if you are like a little old lady, well, look at Alan and his nonsense. You could make the argument that when stuff goes on sale, nobody wants to buy. So I think you could actually make the argument. I know Eddie, for instance, he was interested in this one recently. I also heard the kids on social media talking about this one. We've got like a whole list of them. I've got a whole bunch of these little old lady positions on. Well, if we start getting pullbacks against bottom ends of ranges, in fact, we had a new person that just joined the site today say, well, I'm a little old lady. I'm here. I'm ready to start accumulating. I was like, okay, cool. Go slowly. Just nibble. You don't need to bet the farm. But if anything, this is actually little old lady kind of markets, because as these things start tanking and coming back down against the bottom end of the ranges, no reason why you can't be just nibbling away. All right. I'll see everybody for the show on Sunday. That was a little bit longer session there for you, about 40 minutes or so. But obviously, we had lots to talk about there about, of course, crypto coming off here. And Brian's knucklehead trade, eh? Oh, goodness. I mean, just to show you, I'll finish it off. There I am. I want to sell. I had 2.5 hours to pull the trigger after the signal came in, and I missed the whole freaking trade. There's the order right there. You can see. Oh, what a doofus. Anyway, as Constantine says, actually, as Adam says, next bus in 10 minutes. And Nuri's saying it as well. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the good karma. If anything, I need more of your positivity in my life, because right now I'm a little verklempt at myself. Anyway, actually, you know what? I'm going to finish the video off on this one note. Remember, we have a rule at TRI that if you have a trend line and the trend line's broken, you don't get a buy signal until a W comes in on the other side of this trend line. And I think what we just saw here, because keep in mind, remember, this was all this bullshit around BlackRock wanting to float an ETF. That was a V bottom. Notice how a bearish AB equals CD, 1.618, alt ABCD is going to take us right back down into that original bottom. And I actually think, on balance, what we're going to do is some big honking head and shoulders pattern here. So that's actually what I'm thinking is going to happen. So it doesn't surprise me. If you can be laser beam focused once we get into these lows, because I think there's going to be a long entry there. And if you're lucky, Maybe the breadth indicator turns back up over the next week or two, and you actually get a nice little buy signal to frame that counter trend rally that I think is going to come. So, but it's just not today. Okay, I'm going to try and stop talking now. Have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. All the best. Love the audience. Hit the like button, subscribe, pop on over to the after party. Ask all the questions you want. I think we'll just spend the after party today just answering Q&A, maybe looking at different names. All right, and we'll see everybody on the free platform on Sunday for the Broiler Chicken Show. All the best, and bye for now.